shoes and out the door. 5, I'm alive. 6, 7, 8, feeling great.
Hello and welcome back to Beyond Your Wildest Genes podcast. My name is Dr. Noah DeCoyer and I am your co-host. Today our guest is Dr. Chris Zaino. Dr. Zaino is known as a visionary leader and an international acclaimed speaker that has spread the wellness message globally for the past 11 years. He dedicates his life to help improve and help people transform their lives and reach their potential. Dr. Zaino has unparalleled success with his own patients where other hospitals, chiropractic, and medical systems has failed miserably. He teaches at events that reach thousands of people each year throughout the US and Canada that are designed to transform lives. Dr. Zaino has been chosen after much research to be a doctor for USA Wellness Sports Council. After graduating from the prestigious Parker University in 2005, Dr. Zaino started Abundant Life Chiropractic, which has been changing the lives in the Houston area since October 2005. And in 11 years, it has now become one of the largest clinics in the world, seeing over 3,000 patient visits a week. Having helped thousands of people each week ranging from 1 day old to 95 years of age, every problem you can think of has walked through the door, and each person is better and has gotten results where other options has failed. Dr. Zaino's experience and decorated career speaks volumes of his knowledge base and concern for healthy living. An avid researcher, Dr. Chris Zaino constantly and passionately teaches his patients on function, food, fitness, finance, and future. Through many life experiences, like becoming Mr. America in 1998 and facing a life-threatening disease, he is seasoned and experienced with the ups and downs people experience with the human body. His catalyzing statement is to unlock the true God-given healing potential of mankind, one family at a time, and his sole purpose is leading people towards fulfilled lives through the God-given principles and laws of healthy living. Dr. Zaino currently resides in Woodlands, Texas, with his amazing wife Whitney and his 2 sons, Justus and Tytus. Whew, that's a bio. How you doing, Dr. Zaino?
Good, thanks, Noah. How you doing? Thank you.
Great. Now, we just read the bio. We have a little bit of insights into your life, but I want to expound upon that. Mr. America, life-threatening disease, a little bit about your catalyzing statements. Tell our audience a little bit more about yourself and how chiropractic found you.
Okay, so it was back in 1998. I just won the Mr. America in 98. And then, my degree was in exercise physiology. I also graduated college there with my master's, not my master's, my degree in exercise phys. And that was, so basically, I personal trained people with the title and the degree. I worked with the Orlando Magic because I was going to UCF at the time. And, when you have that degree as well, because Universal Studios was there, I was the trainer of a lot of the celebrities that would go there and shoot, so when, they shot all types of, stuff at the studios there. So it was really a great career. I mean, for me, I thought I definitely made it at that point because I was doing something I loved to do. And then I met my wife, Whitney, and we got married. And about 6 months into the marriage, all of a sudden, I started I thought I had a stomach bug. Just things were going through me, and it just never went away. And I'm thinking it'll just go away. It didn't. And about a month into that, slowly, you go in the bathroom 8, 10 times a day, things are running through you, then you start bleeding. So I'm thinking, well, like any other guy, hey, this is going to get better. But then when you see blood, you Google, you go on Google MD. You become Google MD, and you look on there, you're like blood and stool, and the first thing is cancer. And you're like, oh man, because my grandfather died of cancer in 1975, a year before I was born. My father had died right after I won the Mr. America of renal cell carcinoma at 68. And so I would say my thought process at that time, if I was to really be realistic, I think I told myself, listen, yeah, maybe I thought I was going to get cancer because my grandfather and my father did, but I said I didn't think it would come this fast, being 26. So I realized, man, this, and I'm not telling my wife any of this. I'm hiding all of this. And it gets to the point where you go in the bathroom so much, but then you can't go out in public because I noticed that if you have the urge to go and every time you go to the bathroom, it's blood and you need to know where you're going. I can't eat here, so I don't have an accident, because you always felt like you had to go. And then it was a Sunday. I was at a TJ Maxx, and I went to the back where they have the restrooms, and it was locked. It was under construction, And I'm like, where's your bathroom? She's like, well, you got to go outside in the portable because they're in construction. And I didn't make it. And so right there, just put yourself in a crowded TJ Maxx or Marshalls or on a Sunday, and imagine losing your bowels in public, in front of you, in the middle of everybody. And so right in that moment, it's you're scared, you're ashamed. So there was a side door. I ran out the side door where the loading dock was, and I called my wife and I'm like, listen, you got to pick me up. So we had this little Ford Escort ZX2, and she picked me up with towels at the front seat. And then I had to explain to her on the ride to the emergency room, because I'm like, you need to take me to the emergency room. And she's like, what's going on? This is the first time she heard about this. So went to the emergency room. They did an emergency colonoscopy. When I woke up, there's a doctor standing over me. He's like, I know exactly what you have. He goes, you have an incurable disease called ulcerative colitis. He goes, this is an autoimmune disease, meaning that it's your immune system attacking it. It's incurable. You'll have it the rest of your life, or you'll probably need surgery. So we're going to start you on high-dose prednisone infusions today and get you on these drugs, and we'll just go from there. So put me on prednisone, and then because that's a pure stress hormone, the goal was to shut the immune system down, because their thinking was if it's autoimmune and your immune system's attacking yourself, well, if that's the symptom, then therefore if we shut down your immune system, it won't attack itself anymore. So I'm on prednisone, and then because the prednisone keeps you up, they gave me a high-dose Xanax and Valium. But now that caused another problem, because now I'm taking Xanax and Valium, and that's highly addictive, so now I need those to go to sleep. Then they put me on another drug called Acecol, and it's very harsh on the liver, and my liver enzymes went so high, I was diagnosed with medically induced hepatitis. So now my liver's failing. I got a medically induced hepatitis, but instead of stopping the drug, they just treat the hepatitis. So now I'm being treated for ulcerative colitis, medically induced hepatitis, and I'm getting worse and worse. So then we found that the top doctors in the country for digestive disease was in Dallas, Texas, at Baylor Medical. So we make the trek over there, and there they are, and it's just a great, billion-dollar facility, great people, and they meant well on what their education had, but their education just still couldn't do it. So they took me off the prednisone, they put me on a low-dose chemotherapy, Remicade infusions for the autoimmune component, interferon shots for the medically induced hepatitis, and organ rejection medication. So the organ rejection medication was if someone gets a transplant, they give you this medication to permanently shut the immune system down at the DNA level, so your body doesn't reject the kidney or the liver, whatever you got. So the whole thing shut the immune system down. So then I had to wear a mask everywhere I went. Long story short, my wife saw me go from 230 pounds when this first started all the way down to 158 pounds in about 4.5 months. And the only option now, when the drugs didn't work, was the only other option a medical doctor could give you was drugs don't work, so now we do surgery. So the surgery would be, well, if you have ulcerative colitis and your large intestine is diseased, if we take out your large intestine, then therefore we took out the diseased organ, and then that'll be curative. So they say, if we take out your large intestine, you'll have a colostomy bag. They were very upfront. They're like, listen, this is really, they said, there's really no good option here. They go, if we remove the large intestine, it was tip to tip, so they couldn't take a little bit out, the whole thing. Then you would have to have a colostomy bag. That would break, that would leak, that would still get infected. I'd be on at least $2,000 worth of medication a month for the rest of my life. We already had $200,000 worth of medical bills at the time. I'd need multiple surgeries. They're like, chances are, every time we take out a colon, it's not going to be like a piece of cake. There's going to be complications of sepsis and all these other things that we'll have to maybe go back in. And then probably the toughest part for my wife and I was two things. They said, even with the surgery, you have an 80% chance of getting cancer, even with the surgery. And then the next part, the second most damaging thing I thought for our family was, you'll never have children. They're like, you may even be sterile right now, so you'll never be able to children or kids. And so they set me up for the surgery in a week and a half. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm 26 years old. And, I would say up to that point, because, when I was raised, like most people were raised, I was raised that health was how you look or how you felt. So, I thought my entire life I was healthy because I looked good and I felt good. And I didn't eat McDonald's for breakfast like everybody does, in the morning. And I didn't drink, I didn't smoke. So why the hell is this happening to me? So it's very easy when my map of what health was how I look or feel. It was very easy for me to accept, oh, it must be a freak genetic, some type of disease, like it was out of my control. And but it wasn't. It was just a huge blind spot. And you know, I had a medicine cabinet growing up. Thought drugs were like super vitamins. You take this and you feel better, and that made me better because I felt better. And I was raised that any time I was sick or didn't feel good, I was brought to the medical doctor, and they gave me a pill to mask it. And so therefore, at 26, I had the same system of belief and philosophy that whatever they told me, hey, you got to take out my colon, let's do it. And lock, stock, and barrel, I'm going to listen to you.
So then,
yeah, what's up?
yeah. So then, I guess my question after hearing this story is, and you talk about your philosophy and how you grew up, and you only had a week and a half until this surgery. In that time frame, what changed your philosophy that quickly, or who did you find in your life that helped you to make a dramatic change and eventually heal yourself?
Perfect question. So I'm flying home to see my mom. So they said we're going to sit you up for surgery in a week and a half. My mom's freaking out because now let's just switch gears from my mom's perspective. So my mom, she already lost two. I lost two brothers, so she lost two sons. So you have a mother who already had two sons die, and then this is son number three. So this is like the worst possible case for a mom. And so I'm flying home to see her in Sarasota, Florida, and then she sends out an email, and she sends out the email that every single person listening to this podcast has got. I have so-and-so, my son's sick, he's going to get surgery, please pray for him. It was the prayer email. Mm-hmm. And we've all gotten it, and we've all either hit delete, we just said a little prayer silently, or some of us emailed back, like most of our friends, saying, hey, we pray it goes well, we pray for the surgeon, all that other stuff. And one person, it was actually my anatomy teacher from 10th grade, my sophomore year in high school. He emails my mom back. So just think, hundreds of emails goes out. One email comes back. Hey, listen, I need to see Chris when he comes home. I want to see him. She's like, fine, he'll be home Tuesday. So I fly home, and then I go over to my mom's house, and there's Coach Ferraccio. And he was my anatomy teacher. And I'm like, so what are you doing here? He's like, listen, I got your mom's email. I need you to go see my doctor. He's a corrective care chiropractor. It's going to change your life. You'll find the problem, and this will be no problem. And he said it so nonchalantly, so we're going to go down and get a cup of tea, that type of. But you're talking to someone, it's like, you don't understand. I've done everything. I followed every protocol. I've done everything to the T. I've done every test, the best in the country with all the awards. If they told me I need surgery and nothing can be done, then there's no way this. And then to me, I was a chiropractor because my lens of chiropractic was when I played baseball and football. There'd be a guy there'd be some chiropractor who would stretch me out or even tape my ankles. So to me, it was more like an athletic trainer. And there was no way. I was like, how is this? Because I had no information. No one taught me. Even that chiropractor, no one told me anything about the nervous system. Like there was no way I could actually say, well, how is stretching my hamstring going to do anything for an incurable disease? Like I couldn't put the connection together. And I'm like, he's like, well, there you go. He's like, listen, you didn't try everything because if you tried everything, you would have got your result. Number one. Number two, would you be open to at least avoid the surgery or reduce and eliminate some of the medications? Would you be open to that? I'm like, yeah, but I've tried everything. He's like, well, there's your blind spot. You didn't. So I'm like, fine. And so then I went to see this guy, Dr. Roger Romano, and he took pictures of my spine that no one did. I did the barium stuff, but at the hospital. But he did X-rays of my spine. But then he set me down. So here it was. So he set me down in about 30 minutes. He taught me how the body functioned, heal, and operate. He told me that what health was, where it comes from, the brain nervous system, and it was in such a simplified, easy way. And I couldn't call BS on anything. I had my degree in exercise physiology. I know how the body works. I know that the nervous system controls everything. I know that if there's anything interfering with that, that area dies because it only depends on life from the brain and the intelligence from the brain to tell it that. So I was like, yeah, I mean, everything made sense. And then when I went back to see my x-rays, my pictures, my lower spine was destroyed. It was horrible. And you're looking at this horrible, mangled, like a train wreck lower spine. But what's so tough, is that you're looking at something that looks like a train wreck, but you feel nothing. I mean, you see this thing, and you think, well, I thought I would feel that. But you know what? How many people, they feel fine and they drop dead of a heart attack? How many people, they feel fine and they're diagnosed with cancer? And it's been in their bodies 10, 20, 30 years. So the five to six people, and and you put me into another disease. Here I had this disease process, not feeling it, or a blind spot, not seeing it or knowing about it, that was destroying my health. And he showed it to me. And even though I know the nervous system controlled everything, I have never, ever been told in all my teachings in school, in my 26 years of growing up, no one told me that I could take care of the spinal nervous system. I had braces. I knew how to take care of my body. I knew how to take care of my car. I knew how to take care of everything in my life. No one told me that if my most important system is my nervous system, health is function, which comes from the nervous system, the brain and nervous system. No one ever told me, well, that this is my most important system. I never knew there could be something to do about that. And so when I saw it, I had a 20-degree curvature or subluxation in my lower spine when it should be 0. So for those of you listening who don't know, if your spine should be straight up and down, put a 20-degree curvature in there. So all the nerves and spinal cord being stretched, shutting off life like a dimmer switch to my intestines. So now here's the problem, Noah. You got my wife and I, we have zero money, zero, okay, nothing. We have $200,000 in debt, so we don't even know how we're going to pay for that. So zero money. I'm not working. My wife's a personal trainer here and there. My mom's living off my dead father's Social Security money, which is nothing. And so here's the thing. I don't have $6,000 to take care of my spine. I don't have $6,000 to do anything. But I asked him, like, well, when am I going to get better? And this Dr. Roger gave me the answer that no other doctor gave me. And he gave me the most honest answer, because his answer was this. He's like, listen, as long as you have interference between the brain and the digestive tract, there's damage in your spine. The body it doesn't have any ability to heal on its own. But when you choose to correct the problem that you have right there it is, and you remove that interference, allow the body to reconnect and to get as much communication back to function as normally as it can again, then your body has the environment to finally heal itself. But the day and the hour that happens, that's not up to me. That's between you, your body, and God. That's it. He's like, the day and the hour I can't tell you, but you will heal if you don't quit on yourself. And that was such an honest answer, because all I was told was, how many times I was told when they switch this drug or switch that drug or do this chemo or do that, and I just got worse and worse. And finally, they're stringing you along and once we remove your colon, you'll be fine. So he gave me an honest answer. And now here's the money. So my wife said, listen, it's not about resources. She's like, we don't have the resources. Let's just become resourceful. So she's like, number one, I need you here as long as possible. She's like, when you do that surgery, it's not going to turn out well. You never could reverse that surgery. She's like, we will not be a couple that all we do our entire lives is fight to pay medical bills and be in sick debt and bankruptcy. She's like, and we want a family. She's like, so what do I got to do? You know what it was? So there's a lot of people like, oh, I don't have that money. But you know what it was? It took my wife 10 minutes to get 2 credit cards and then get the process started. So we got started. Boom. And so 3 months later, that's how, when someone says they don't have money, it's never the money. It's, do you want it? Because if, how many people when they get, I'm in Houston, how many people when they're diagnosed with cancer, they find the time to go and get 3 to 5 hours chemo. They find the $40,000 per month or week to do the chemo. They find it because it's a must, right? So it was a must to get well. We did what it took. And $6,000 was nothing compared to what I had to pay in medical bills that I was going to have to pay anyway and still did. So 3 months go by and I'm off half the medication and my weight's stabilizing. 5 months go by, I'm off all the medication because I had to taper off it. And then I'm up about 10 pounds. And it's 7 months later, on the first day I started getting my nervous system corrected, there was no more blood whatsoever. And That was also a huge moment. It was mixed because you're thinking, you're so happy, right? You feel it's a miracle, but it wasn't a miracle. It was just a blind spot that I didn't know about. But what was scary to me, and even talking today about it, looking back, that I was okay with, and I was going to choose to get my colon removed. No one makes you do anything. So when someone says, well, the doctor put me on this drug and the doctor told me I need to, so the doctor, they recommend it, but ultimately my health is my responsibility. I make the decision. I take the pill. I drive myself to get the surgery. So it's like, no, a lot of people like to blame the doctor. You don't blame the medical doctor or the drugs, you chose it. And so, but I almost chose to do a surgery, or that. Looking back today, being healthy today, being whole, taking care of my wife, having two beautiful boys, Justus and Tytus, going back to school through this whole journey, I found, chiropractic, and that became my sole purpose, my future, my purpose in life, to help hundreds of thousands of years being added to hundreds of thousands of lives, and traveling the world and traveling the country and speaking to other doctors and helping thousands of people. And just to think that all of that, if I didn't know any better, if one person didn't tell me, all of that would have been gone. And I never would have knew any better. And I would have been in a wheelchair. I would have been dead. I would have been childless. And my life never would have been what it is today. And so looking back, that really the whole thing that makes my life today and the accomplishment I did today in all areas of my life, not just in my health, but in my family, in my relationships, in my finances, in every area of my life, anything that is good, it's all because of a decision I made, a decision that my wife and I had to make at some point in time. We could have said we didn't have the time. We could have said we didn't have the money. We could have said, well, the doctor told me this or the doctor told me that. But we sat and we said what felt good in our spirit. We knew this made sense. And even though we found the resources, and making that decision changed the course of my life and thousands of people's lives. And that's why I wanted to call today, because of that. So it really comes to that. You said, like, how can you change your whole philosophy? It could happen in a second. But change does not take long. Change is a decision that you make in the moment, and that's transformation. You never go back. So I burnt the bridges, and I only had one option, that was to heal, and it happened.
So let me codify this a little bit. So your greatest asset was the innate intelligence inside of your body that was being interfered with in your low spine that created this entire health disaster, ulcerative colitis.
Right.
Correct?
Yes.
And in your health perspective, when you made that decision, changed from health is a outside-in phenomenon to health being an inside-out phenomenon.
100%.
Beautiful. And that's what I try to tell my patients all the time as well, is that you can make a decision to be healthy. You can decide or take any action steps you want. And if my mother didn't take the action step to bring me and my brother and my sister to a chiropractor, I wouldn't be here either. And she made a decision when it wasn't that common for a 8-year-old to go see a chiropractor. Yet now in both of our practices, we have huge pediatric practices. So I appreciate everything you said greatly. Can you summarize what your chiropractor told you? Because you said it was so eloquent, so simple. I'd like for the audience just to hear that one more time. When he sat you down, what did he tell you that really caused you to make that decision?
Well, Noah, it was so simple. It's so simple, just like it's such a simple principle that it's almost too simple that right. People almost don't believe it. Well, but no, what it is they believe it innately and logically. Like you could sit there and be like, that is 100% truth. Like it's a law, like gravity. Like, it's like, it's so simple. It's as simple as gravity. But because we've been taught and trained that we need fancy, like, all the fancy testing and the high money that you got to pay and the high expensive drugs and chemicals, it's like, well, if it was this simple, my doctor would have told me. My medical doctor, who's not trained in the nervous system. They're not trained in other lifestyles and epigenetic factors. They're trained in crisis care, cover the symptom with a drug, or pull the body, pull the organ out when the drugs destroy, because a drug is deception. Because what is a drug? It's manipulating the body to mask a symptom when the problem's still there the whole entire time. So it's deception. It's denial. That's all it is. Drug is denial. And so nothing gets taken care of. But if you just do that philosophy, you're going to always get the same thing. Well, I'm going to go get checked out. Well, what are you going to get checked? You got a drug or surgery. So this approach where let's find cause. Here is the cause. So he goes, Chris, there's the cause. And Noah, it was like a nail in my tire. There it is, right? So if you go on a trip now with a nail in your tire, what's going to happen? Like it's going to get worse. It's going to blow out. But here's the thing: people say, "Well, I don't have ulcerative colitis." You don't have to. I could have had a 2-degree subluxation or curve or a 10-degree subluxation curve. A symptom, colitis for me, it's just a fire alarm going off. For someone, they could have no pain whatsoever. I didn't have back pain. For someone else, they could have that problem, had ridiculous back pain or sciatica or numbness in their toe or can't have children or prostate issues or constipation. They go in the bathroom once every 7 days. I'm going to the bathroom once every 7 minutes. So they could have diabetes. So whatever the symptom is, you can't chase the symptom, just fire alarms going off of a massive disease process. And our goal is, where is the cause? You always find cause. And that's the way life is. I mean, masking things never ever helped anybody in any area of their life, like fires, check engine lights. So when it comes to the human body, why would we think masking a problem would help us, which is our greatest asset? So it really comes to such a simple philosophy, but a lot of people cannot, because we've been educated or we've been taught to do or taught to learn or taught to spit out the right answer our whole entire life. People have a very tough time sitting back and trusting themselves to say, this makes 100% sense to me. And we want to make sure if a person could think for themselves, then this makes 100% sense. And this is why people in office get well, because it makes sense, it's logical, it's truth. And boom, there you go. And they just apply it. And they see the blind spot, they correct the equation. That's all it is, right? It's people say, well, I'll try chiropractic out. You don't try it out. It's not like it works for some. Oh, it might work for some. It works for everybody, because if blind spot A plus blind spot B equals disease process, and we find the blind spot, we correct the blind spot, we find the habits, we find the thinking errors, and we replace them with positive habits or protocols throughout their day, we change the equation. So therefore, they're going to have a different result. So this is not a lucky thing. There's no chance. It is a very systematic scientific equation that when you change the variables that led to disease, and we correct the right variables for positive habits and correcting of the blind spots, and the person gets well. This is not it's as simple as 1 + 1 on that.
So I'm just thinking from our audience perspective, the time to see a chiropractor is not when you have a symptom, it's prior. That's the best way to see a chiropractor and to start your care with a chiropractor, correct?
Well, yeah, because disease, we've got to understand disease and the symptom, it's not the beginning, it's the end stage. There's damage already done at that point. So, when someone's pregnant, they say, what do you want, a boy or girl? They're like, oh, it doesn't matter as long as they're healthy. So if health is the goal, if I said, how many people want 100% life from the brain to get to 100% of every organ, cell, tissue, and muscle in your body, how many people want that? Everybody wants that. So you do that now. You don't do that when we already know there's damage. So you want that at all times. And symptoms, we have to also understand that symptoms are also the body's expression of healing. It's, not all symptoms are bad. I get a fever, or if there's pollen and I'm sneezing, or I drop something on my foot and it hurts. We understand there's, or if I worked out and my arms are sore, it's like, there's, people have to learn how to live and understand how the body works, that the body's always doing the right thing for the right time for the right reason. So we just want to maintain an optimal function through proper nervous system care and free of interference, so the body could function at its optimal and maximal potential. And then when it's functioning optimally, it could adapt to its surroundings, it could do what it needs to do, and we honor the body, and we see our body as our best and most loyal friend. I think too many times people look at the body as this weak car that's breaking down, but really your body is your most loyal friend. If you
Well,
understand that.
yes, well said. That is so well said, and thanks for asking that. So I have a few last questions.
Sure.
A lot of people on this podcast see chiropractors, and they see very busy chiropractors. But I'm not sure very few people see chiropractic or go to a chiropractor's office that sees thousands of people a week. What does an office like that look like?
Well, it's not really as impressive as anybody would think.